Ah. Oh, well, hello there, and welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. This is going to be the first episode of Mindful Minecraft. I'm excited to share my thoughts. We're going to have some gameplay playing. Let's get started. What this series is going to be about is going to be sort of like a podcast. Well, I have some Minecraft gameplay of myself in a new series in a new hardcore world playing. What I want to talk about is different life topics, things that I find interesting, not necessarily pertaining to Minecraft, but with my gameplay in the background. So I'll make some comments of what we're doing. Like, looks like we just spawned in and we are in our village. We started in a village. But anyways, I don't want this to all be about Minecraft. I want this to be a sort of mini podcast where I can talk about things that I find interesting, relevant topics to life, society, and all of that good stuff. For today's episode, integrity. Before we start, I just want to define the word. Google says the definition of integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. I've been thinking a lot about this lately, about this strange feeling that something is missing in the world around us today. Like there's a disconnect we're all sensing, but I can't always put a word to. In the news we read, the conversations we have, the ways we work, how we date, consume, and even how we view ourselves. The thing that I feel that is missing is integrity. Integrity is a word that seems almost forgotten, like it belongs in some old moral code, a dusty textbook, But if you slow down and you really pay attention, you can feel how much its absence is shaping the world around us right now. I wanted to talk about it, not as some grand ideal, but as something deeply personal and very real. Something that affects our relationships, our careers, our mental health. We think of integrity as something that's more of a moral high ground. Oh, I have high integrity, so I'm a good person. But really, it can be seen in all walks of life, not only within yourself, but within how we treat others, how the world treats us, and how we view the world. First, I think we should talk about integrity within ourselves on a personal level. Because before we can talk about companies, politics, or other societal issues, it's important to look within ourselves and how we hold our integrity. And honestly, it's tough. It's tough to do that. How often do we actually live in alignment with our values? How often do we make choices that feel true to who we are instead of who we are expected to be? Often we're using external factors, things outside of our control that end up guiding our decision making and who we become and how we carry ourselves. We often set goals and put value based on what others want for us, like our parents, social media feeds. There's the hustle culture narrative, that grind until you're numb. We tell ourselves, I'll slow down when I make more money, or I'll focus on my health later once I finish this project. But when later comes, we push it even further and further away. It feels like we're breaking promises to ourselves without even realizing it. We're losing ourselves. Whether it's ignoring burnout, pretending to be okay when we're not, or chasing success at the expense of your own peace and happiness. Integrity starts with self-honesty. Being honest with yourself is very uncomfortable, especially in today's world where being vulnerable is seen as weak and often very uncomfortable, and something we're taught to avoid. We scroll, we distract, we overwork with all these different distractions we have in the world. I know I can get lost on TikTok for hours, not even realizing how I'm feeling watching those videos. But every time we choose convenience over truth, we lose a little bit of that inner trust within ourselves. I've noticed that with even in myself. Every time you kind of lie to yourself saying, oh, I'm okay, or things are okay, or you value something that maybe you know that you don't personally value, but you're told to value, you lose a little bit of that voice inside of you that says, I got this, that confidence. And if that's happening within ourselves, it really only makes sense that it's going to happen in our relationships too. Have you noticed how many relationships today feel transactional? Like we're auditioning for each other, trying to prove our worth, whether it's dating, friendships. It's the quiet, what can you offer me energy. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with wanting mutual value and respect in any kind of relationship. But I feel like we've lost that deeper layer of like human connection. Ghosting, breadcrumbing, half truths, It's like we're afraid to be vulnerable because somewhere along the way we've learned that honesty isn't safe, whether that's in your childhood or in your first relationship or with your parents. That if we show up fully and show our true self, someone might leave, or worse, they might stay but not really see us for who we want to be seen as. And maybe we've been on both sides. Maybe we've ghosted someone out of fear. Maybe we've avoided tough conversations because it felt easier to cover them up. But all that chips away at that integrity within yourselves and the integrity in your relationships with others. There's power in showing it up with honesty. That doesn't mean you have to be rude and mean to people just because you have an opinion. But being your true self and being honest and genuine can be uncomfortable, but it's worth it. It's like exercising. You don't want to exercise, it can be uncomfortable, painful, but you're exercising your mind when you are genuine to who you are. I wanted to also talk about integrity in society and in work. If we zoom out a little bit further, you can start to see these patterns. Workplaces preach about being one big family, but then they're laying people off. Also, can we just talk about, man, no iron pickaxe, diamonds on the floor, unfortunate. And then this was a risky situation too. Anyways, companies want to prioritize mental health, but then work you until exhaustion. Politicians are talking about serving the people, but really they're just chasing their own agendas, and we're just the cogs that help. The scary part is when we've grown so used to that, we become disconnected from what feels normal. We expect it, but normalizing this level of dishonesty has real consequences. It breeds this feeling of why bother trusting anything or anyone when everyone's just playing the game. And when integrity disappears from the system around us, it teaches us how to lower our own standards, to bend our boundaries, to believe that cutting corners is just survival, it's just part of the game. But is it really survival, or are we just running the rat race? Then I want to talk about the cultural shift. Culturally, it feels like we're in this weird space where being loud is valued more than being honest, where you're being rewarded for having a take on everything, even if it's shallow. Social media thrives on outrage and drama, rage baiting, on sound bites. The world feels hyper stimulated, but also shallow at the same time. And in that noise, integrity is often the one that gets drowned out. Because integrity often isn't loud, it's quiet, it's subtle. It's doing the right thing when no one's watching. Everyone hears that, but it's true. It's choosing the hard truth over the easy lie to tell yourself. It's slowing down and saying, this might cost me something, but I'm not going to betray who I am for it. And in the long run, doing that is just as valuable as whatever it was cost, whatever the cost was that you lost. Because at least you're not losing yourself within it. With all that being said, what do we do with this? When the world feels like it's moving further away from integrity, how do we hold on to it? Maybe it starts small in how we talk to ourselves, in whether we honor our own needs, set real boundaries, tell the truth, even when it's awkward. Maybe it's checking in. Am I living in alignment with who I am, or am I performing for someone else? I'm not saying there's a way to fix the whole system. We can't control the actions of big companies or politicians or even strangers online, but we can control whether we show up for ourselves with integrity. And the more we do, the more we invite others to do the same. And so I guess that's where I'm at today. How can we reclaim this integrity, not as some fancy word to hold above someone else or a moral high ground, but as a daily practice? How do we live lives where action aligns with our value, even when the world tells us to compromise? There's every reason in the world to put aside your integrity to have some sort of gain in whatever aspect of life you want. Maybe the reward isn't recognition or fame, money. Maybe it's a simple peace of mind knowing that you are true to yourself, that you've lived a life that is true to you. Now, I don't mean to say all this and act like I'm not going to go to work tomorrow and be on my best behavior, but it's something that we should be conscious about. And with that, I just want to say thank you for listening. I appreciate it. This was definitely a struggle to make this video. I put a lot of effort in, and I hope to get better at my speaking skills and video recording. So I appreciate you if you listen to the end. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.